Hello, my name is Veniasus, a certified Bubble developer. So I want to talk about recursive workflow on Bubble free plan. This course is basically for beginners because when I started learning Bubble newly, I didn't have access to backend workflow because I couldn't subscribe. And even when we have opportunity to use the 2 weeks plan, we might use it to learn something else like webhook and So now, while building demo app, you cannot test it because even if you run the webhook or do the recursive workflow at the back end, it stops to work after the 2 weeks have expired. And now there's a method of doing it in the front end, which is not advisable, but it's just for demo purposes for beginners, where they can go through most of all these tutorials on YouTube, where they have to create a list of things in the database from a list of files they have gotten, especially from OpenAI, ChatGPT, and the rest. So here, I have connected OpenAI through Cloudflare to be able to get the exact JSON format, because OpenAI doesn't return JSON, and even if it returns it in a JSON format, the Bubble does not recognize it. So I use Cloudflare Worker to be able to convert this prompt to a JSON file. So this will be a topic for next time, but for now we are focusing on our recursive workflow. So here we have our repeating group that have a list of all the generated projects from the OpenAI, and then this will be the projects that will be saved to the database after we have clicked on save to the database. So here we are going to run a prompt to generate how many amount of projects that will have fields like title, due date, and status. And this stuff will be generated, projects will be saved in the database in a recursive manner, whereby we can generate up to 10 projects and we save each and every one of them one by one to using the front end instead of the back end, because we are doing it on the free plan. So let us get started. I will show some things whereby I have generated project, which is the created project, which will be the project that we create and display in this repeating group. Then we have generated project, which will be saved in a custom state from the OpenAI. So if you click on run, I've already set up some things whereby it shows an alert and then it generates this using the Cloudflare Worker, and then we store the generated projects in a custom state called generated project. So now what we want to work on is how to save each and every one of those generated projects to the database. So what we are going to do is, first we are going to have a custom event called create projects, right? So we are going to name it and the parameters will be generated projects, which will be stored in our custom state. You can say projects. So we are going to call it from the plugin, which is this. We are calling the body of the OpenAI feed. So if you go over here, you go to our project maker, go to response, you can see the body project, and this project have a list of projects that I've generated that has title, due date, and status. So we are going to send the list that we have generated from here, that we saved inside here, inside this custom state, and pass it to this particular custom event. So next thing we will pass is the index. This index is going to determine the particular project we are saving. So if you generate 5 projects, it means we have index 1 to 5. So we have to save from in project number 1. Then after saving project number 1, we come back, save project number 2 until we save the 5 of them. And this count is the total number of projects generated from the OpenAI itself. And it's going to be type number also. So what we are going to do now is we are going to copy this custom event and create a new one. And this one, we are going to call it what? Schedule create project. So this schedule create project is going to trigger the initial create project or created project. So what it does is, after the created project have created a project, it calls the schedule to call back the created project. So it goes back and forth until it have generated up to 5, or the total number of generated projects. So in a backend workflow, the schedule backend workflow can schedule itself, but a custom event cannot schedule itself. So we need another custom event to schedule the previous custom event to do the saving. So what we are going to do is, we have a data type already called project. This project have due date, it has status, and we have title. So what we will do is, in here, we are going to do what we are going to create a thing, and this thing is going to be called what? Project. And we need what? We need the title, we need the due date, and we need the status, right? So here, we already have status in our database as an option set, which is an option set. We have new, in progress, and complete. So we are going to match the status from the OpenAI to the status we already have. So what we have is, since this generated project is going to be a list, because it's bringing a list of generated projects, so we come over here, we're going to have generated projects, item number, index. So let's assume item number index is 1. So it's going to create the first project. So we are going to copy this, paste it, maybe item number index date, and then we're going to call our status, or status. We are going to filter it by the one that is coming from the backend workflow, the OpenAI itself. So this is index status is this status display. We now save the first item. Yeah. So now we have saved all the index. So assuming we generated 5 projects and index is 1. So it is going to first save project number 1, then come back, save project number 2, then come back, save project number 3. So what we are going to do now is, we come here and then schedule an event. What are we going to schedule? We will schedule this scheduled created project, and we are going to add the generated project. Yeah, this is supposed to be a list. We forgot to add it. This, and then this will be indexed plus 1. So what this does is, after creating the first one, it goes here, add number 2, so that when this comes back, it will now be index number 2. Then to now find the project number 2, save it, and then number 2 will be the new index, and add a new one. It becomes 3, it comes back, save it. So this count is the total generated project count, and we want to delay this event by 1 second. So every 1 second it runs. You understand? So here we are going to have a condition, because we don't want to run forever. So we are going to run when index is less than count. What this means is, if index is 1 and the total generated project is 3, you should run. If index is 2 and the total generated project is 3, you should run. So until the total generated project is equal to the index number, you should continue to run and save it to the database. So what we want now is, after this have been done, I have a custom event, a usable element that has an alert. So this alert will inform us that this all projects saved to the database, right? So what we missed another step. So after creating this project, we need to add a state, and this state is what we called created project. So this created project will be demo created project plus item. Since it's a list, result of step 1. So each time it creates a new project, it adds it to this custom state, because this custom state is what we want to finally display. It's what we want to finally display to the repeating group after we are done, creating the new project. So when this adds, so this event will trigger. So this type will be called success, position will be on top, say 3 seconds. So this will trigger when index is equal to count. So when it has finished running all the generated project, it should now trigger. So when we go to our schedule created project, what we are going to do is this we call custom event called what? Created project. And this created project will have this, and we have index, and we have count. So what this does is when we click on save to database, right, we are going to trigger an alert. This alert will notify us that something is happening in the database. Let us say projects 7. Yeah, you can just name it anything, and the type will be loading. So it's going to be showing a loading screen and to be in the middle of the screen. So now we are going to trigger a custom event called what? Created projects. Creates projects. So here we call the custom event. The custom event that we save the generated project will be in generated project. The index will be 1. So we want to start from number 1. You understand? We want to start creating the project from number 1. So from this number 1, and the count will be total generated projects count, right? And then when this is done, what do we do? Because this, since it's a custom event, I have to run first before the next workflow. When this is done, we display data. Display data to the repeating group. And which repeating group you want to display data to? This particular repeating group projects. So this will be projects. And where is the data? The data will be in the created projects. So these created projects, when we click on, make this green. When we click on this, when we click on this, save to database, we activate this trigger. This trigger saved the first index, add this to the custom state, trigger the other schedule. This schedule triggers back the custom event and adds 1 to the index. So this will create index number 2. So now it's time for testing. I think everything is set. So here, first we are going to generate our prompt. So let us say generate 4 projects. So when I run this, generating projects, goes, you can see we have project name is website redesign, due date, new in progress, all this. So when I click on save to database, so we got the workflow wrong. We are supposed to put this display at the end of the workflow, which is here. So what you're going to do is we go over here, display to database will come out. We're going to cut it, and then at the end of this we will add it. So when the whole trigger have been done, we can now display each and every one of them to the repeating group. So let us try that again. Yeah, try an error is nice. So here I'm going to generate 5 projects. So I'll run this. You can see you have 5 different projects with their different names and the rest. Then I'll save to database. Yeah. You can see that all 5 of them have been saved to database. If I go over here to our database, go to projects, you can see our new projects with their name. Let me see. Yeah, annual reports, data analytics, marketing campaign, and the rest. So if you go over here, we can see all of them too. So this is a quick run of how to do recursive workflow with front end. If you have any question, you can hit me up in the DM. Thank you very much. You're very certified developer. Venue out.